Hi, Cathyn Fitzgerald. This is video 3, I guess. And in the previous 2 videos, I talked a lot about sweet spots on your weapon. Maybe you guys all know this, and you're just going to think, why in hell is Cathyn filming this? But it's important because not everybody thinks about it. Or, you know, my first 25 years of sword fighting, I thought my sword had one sweet spot out here on the end, and it's where your blows land the hardest. If I had a marker and some digital illustrator or something, I could give you a map of a sine wave. Sine wave's an electric wave, and every wave has multiple peaks. Your sword, when you throw a shot, you're applying force to one end of the lever. This, by nature, by physics, has to drag behind. When your sword stops moving, that curve that you put in your sword, that, you know, the tip is trailing your hand a little bit, comes back. You get a sine wave. The cool thing about a stick is when you have a sine wave, this part moves the most. This part and this part don't move at all. If I had a microphone that I could tape to the handle of the stick, you'd be able to hear exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to demonstrate now how you find the sweet spot of your sword. You have your sword well constructed, your basket hilt's screwed down tight, everything's cool, and you start thumping it with your hand, and you feel it, even if you can't really hear it, you feel it in your sword hand, and you start tapping, and it's a buzz, 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 bump, 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 and it gets really solid right around here. Mark that with a piece of tape and keep going up the length of the stick. Buzz, 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 bump, 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 bump. Gets really solid right around here. These are the spots where if you draw just one part of a sine wave from the bottom of the curve to the top of the curve and back to the bottom, that's 1 hertz essentially. If you know anything about trigonometry, calculus, math, you've gone through 1 cycle, 1 hertz of a sine wave. You've got your origin line, which is at 0. You start below 0, you go above 0, you come back below 0. These 2 spots are where your line, your sine wave, your curve of your flexing sword, these 2 spots are where your sword crosses 0. Those don't move when you're swinging. You know, relative to the position of your hand, when you're swinging your sword curves. This part's pushing, so it's leading. This part curves, this part's trailing. So really what you're getting is the bow, it's kind of here, of the curve that you're drawing with your sword as it's moving under a lot of force. These 2 spots don't move. When you hit your opponent on these spots, you transfer the maximum amount of the force you're delivering with your good mechanics. You're pushing with your big toe, your hips rotate, your shoulders rotate, your flat snap lashes out, and you pop the guy right in the side of the head with the sweet spot. The majority of the force is transferred to the target, generating a killing blow. If you hit here in the middle, it's not going to feel as good. If you hit, well, how many of you, raise your hands sitting at home on your couches or at your desks watching this video, how many of you had shots called tipped? How many of you have been hit in the face with a shot that felt like crap, but you called it and you knew that it landed out on the tip of the sword? Why was it so much less powerful than your opponent intended? Because it didn't land on the sweet spot, it landed out here on the spot of your sword that moves the most. So that's why tip shots are tip shots. That's why tip shots land poorly. Your opponent may still have King Kong's arms and Godzilla's hips and be able to hit you with a tip shot hard enough to knock you off your feet. Thank your lucky stars that he didn't hit you here or here. Thank everyone you know that it was only a tip shot as you're picking yourself up off the ground and dusting the grass out of your faceplate. That's how you find a sweet spot on a sword. That's what they're useful for. There's a whole bunch of math and calculus involved in all this stuff, but you don't need it to be a great sword fighter. I don't even need it to tell you how it works and why it works. That's just it. It's the shape of how swords work. Thanks for watching.